While everything is coming on live, I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to a conversation we're going to have about food, justice, community, and economics. These things are very important to our community, and we are going to have that conversation. I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves to you, but first, I want to say, welcome to Bridges Live Presents. You know, as me, as Dr. Paul, I like to have conversations with people. This is not a scripted show. This is never be about a scripted show. This is always about information, understanding, and action. Hopefully, if you understand something, you can put something into an action. And then if you don't understand something, just reach out, raise your hand, inbox me, contact me through any of the social medias you have and say, hey, Dr. P, I did not understand what was going on, but I want to contact the few ladies that you have on the show. I'm going to first introduce Dr. Rebecca. Rebecca, please introduce yourself and where you're coming from and what you do. And then we're going to go to the important lady, Tanya.
Absolutely. So, first, Dr. P, let me thank you so much for inviting us to allowing us this platform to share the information with District of Columbia residents and youth. Food justice is a critical issue. So, my name is Rebecca Bankhead, not doctor yet, but I've been at the University of the District of Columbia for the last 20 years. Always working in youth development, always interested in serving youth. And I have to say, really enjoy what I learned from them and sharing what I can learn with them. My job is located inside the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences, and I'm the manager of the Urban Youth Education and Resource Development Program at UDC.
Now, UDC is known as an amazing law school, but I'm not sure if many people knew about their agriculture. How come?
Well, I'm not sure. UDC is the land grant university in the District of Columbia. And what that means is, as many people know, we have a 141-acre farm in Beltsville, Maryland, and we do community extension. Land grant universities receive special funds from the United States Department of Agriculture to do research, as well as to do extension in the community. So for the District of Columbia, we provide those two services, both research and, of course, community extension. And the program that we'll be discussing tonight will be as a part of the extension service.
So we're going to get to that justice, equity, and community and teaching the kids. But let's get to Tanya. Tanya, please introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, Dr. P. My name is Tanya Hanna. I am a UDC 4-H volunteer leader. I've been volunteering with the university for 8 years now. I have a particular interest in children. I love making a difference within their lives. And I love sharing the various opportunities that UDC offers the youth. I myself am working with the majority of the projects that Ms. Bankhead just mentioned. And I'm just honored to be here tonight on your show to talk about what we have to offer, for the youth, and just continue doing the same things that I like to do, lead and make a difference in youth's lives.
Well, Tanya, I do a lot of shows for a lot of different reasons, but ultimately it's about service. It's about serving humanity. It's about serving community. It's about serving people. It's not just about self-service, but about serving others. Now, you said you've been serving in about 8 years in this capacity as a volunteer. Now, prior to those 8 years, what turned your idea into an action? Did you just say, you know what, I'm going to do something, or was something that propelled you? What brought you to the doorstep of UDC?
What brought me to the doorstep of UDC was my interest in finding a new identity. I wanted to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get with an establishment that could allow me to be associated with the theme, science, technology, engineering, art, agriculture also is what they offer, and mathematics. So during my tenure with the university, I was able to develop partnerships with Microsoft. Um, we did some things with Lockheed and Martin and various other organizations that gave the youth great opportunities. So that's one area. And then differently from that, I also had the desire to change curriculums in schools. I feel like the curriculums are very outdated. So I was try to encourage different principals to take the theme, enhance their teachers' capabilities, to be able to teach in that capacity and things of that nature.
Do you have kids in school? I love the idea. You're like, I want to see change. Everyone likes to put up these different memes or these sayings like, be the change you want to be. But you actually took action. So very few people take action in being the change they want to see, not what they want to be, but what they want to see. And you actually took that step. You're like, hey, I see something. Can I help? Can I make a difference? And what can I help you do? I'm not sure if you get patted on the back enough. I'm not sure. It warms my heart because there is a lot of people who do a lot of what you call voice helping, and that doesn't do a lot. We need people to actually put their boots on the ground, 10 toes in the dirt, and actually say, what do I need to do to make something change? And you did it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But I'm not sure if you could ever get enough thank yous because there's not enough of us. There's not enough of you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I definitely must say that the University of the District of Columbia really treat me well. They always give me opportunities beyond imagination, a lot of respect. Ms. Bankhead definitely includes me, like I say, in everything. And I guess just again, back to my greatest strength, which is significance. So I often use my strengths, to make a difference. But it definitely feels good. I myself, as a parent, I am a mother of 4, and I've had my own youth involved in the activities at the University of the District of Columbia School of Agriculture. They developed something called clubs. They have clubs where you come in and develop clubs within the schools. I've had various opportunities to do that on their behalf, and my children have been involved. My son, in fact, he had an opportunity to do a Mars bus event. It was like a STEM event down at the convention center one year, and it was simply amazing, which eventually became a commercial, and it was just a fabulous experience. So yes, I was having my own children involved, and initially I did start off at their schools with one of Miss Bankhead's extension agents, Jamie. And so we created that bond from there. And then as time moved on, I created a bond with Miss Bankhead because Jamie's no longer there, but it's still the same mission, So thank you so much, Dr. P, for just recognizing that in me. Again, I feel great. I feel good. I feel like I'm ready for the 21st century, So
You and
I feel
about three
good
other
about that
people.
opportunity.
You and about 3 other people. You and about 3 other people ready for the 21st century because everyone else, I was just recently at a friend of mine's farm. and we were talking about how we're going to start an education program for the Black African American community in Maryland, right? Teaching them farming, teaching them blacksmithing, teaching them navigation, teaching them how to read the land, how to be self-sustainable. We throw around these terms of being sustainable, but we really, a lot of communities, a lot of people, actually a lot of African Americans don't really know what being sustainable is. We have been so used to being farmed out with our own prosperity, farmed out with our own knowledge, and we don't know how to farm for ourselves. And that's in economic, that's in finances, that's in social justice, and that again comes with the farming. You know, when I use acronyms in farming, because I love to use cultivation and development, there's difference between manufacturing, cultivation, and development. When you cultivate, and when you are farming, and we'll use this because we're about ready to talk to Miss Rebecca, but when you're farming, you have to put your hands in the dirt to maturate the nutrients of the dirt to the seed. You have to know how the seed is absorbing the nutrients, otherwise nothing grows. We very rarely ever get taught how to cultivate sustainable life skills for ourselves. And we don't ever know how to translate that into a living life experience. Miss Rebecca, so you've been there for 20 years. You've seen
I have.
You've seen a lot of cultivation and development. So tell me what the program is, and before you get into who you are and what you've been doing for so many years, tell us what the program has been doing for so many years for community and justice.
So the first thing I want to share with you is the Food Justice Youth Summit didn't actually start at UDC.
Okay.
It started as an 11th grade project at Capital City Public Charter School in Northwest in Ward 4. And we had the president of our teen council attended that school at the time, and he invited our former dean to be the speaker for the summit at the school. That school is quite innovative in their processes, and 100% of their students get accepted to college, and most attend. At the end of the day, we partnered with them for several years, and it was through their generosity to allow the program to be spread to other high school students. That was the idea, to engage more students than just those at their campus and learning about food justice. That they gave the program to UDC, and we began to just restructure it a little bit. It is the Food Justice Youth Summit, and what it entails is young people learning about food justice, food security, sustainable living, the impact of climate change on food justice. And now this year, also blockchain technology and what happens to food justice during a pandemic. So all of those topics, young people research everything you can imagine related to food justice. And then we offer workshops where they learn how to conduct research. We offer specialists that come on, representatives from Adobe, from Tableau, USDA, representatives in the food justice movement in DC, Antonio Ford, the food lord, Mark Jackson from DC, just people that are invested really in working with our young people. Our own at UDC, Dr. Ricardo Brown, talks about the impact of food justice on your general health. Carol Friedrich with ANOVA contributes, and there's a really outstanding program in the Bronx, New York called Teens for Food Justice. And they share how the teens there created a sustainability program for one neighborhood in their community, and how they maintain and serve, make sure that their population has food. And so it's an after school program, but all of the information that's shared is geared around helping them get prepared for the summit, because when the summit happens on the campus of UDC, the teenagers, it's done in a conference format, and the teenagers are the workshop presenters. So we will have a keynote speaker that morning. Of course, our provost, Dr. Lawrence Potter, will welcome everyone to the campus, and then the young people will go to their rooms, their designated rooms, and present their workshops and the outcome of their research. The teams in those rooms are made up of 3 to 4 youth, because each youth needs an opportunity to speak on what they learned about food justice, and they all have to say something. They all have to talk about their contribution. They have to talk about where they were and what they learned. It's like you would go to any conference.
Right.
The high school students are the workshop presenters.
I was so excited. I called my cousin Chef Marion out of the Bronx. She's the one that does the kitchen part of all the Bronx schools and the food and building the gardens and about almost like it's about 86 schools out of the Bronx. And being a Bronx kid myself, hoo boogie down. I'm so happy that your partnership with that. But here's the thing.
Sure.
Out of the country, out of the few, when we talk about equity and justice in food, there's so many people missing those pieces. What are some of those fine pieces that people often miss when it comes to food, equity, and justice and sustainability?
Well, some really important factors for our District of Columbia area include the fact that there are food deserts in DC still. And Mayor Bowser has really been working hard to fill those voids. You know, DC has a new grocery store. UDC has farmers markets and programs around the city. We also have assisted with community gardens and school gardens. But I have to say that the mayor's administration has really taken a strong position on addressing food inequity. But particularly during the pandemic, we were able to see that certain communities were really dealing with food insecurities.
Oh, they were suffering.
They were suffering, absolutely. And so we have to have different solutions. And we really want to engage young people because we know they're extremely creative in the district. They are resourceful. They have wonderful ideas on ways of solving problems. They're very opinionated and they can get things done. And that's kind of what the Food Justice Youth Summit is about. But also there's a void there that we're trying to fill because young people don't often truly and fully understand that there are inequities that were designed to be that way initially. And if you look at some of the health issues in the District of Columbia, there are high rates of diabetes, high rates of blood pressure problems, all kinds of childhood obesity. All of those problems are connected to food justice. And when I'm speaking in terms of food justice, I want people to understand that we're not just talking about access to food,
right? Because
fast foods and things like that. No, we're talking about access to healthy, nutritious food, vitamin filled vegetables with nutrients that your body needs. And in our communities, some of our communities, there is a concern about the access to that kind of food, to healthy food.
I'm going to give you a piece of research that I've been doing for so many years. When it comes to trauma, violence, most people signifies trauma with violence.
Absolutely.
Part of food inequity has something to do with the trauma and the violence in the Black communities. When people are not getting the nutrients to feel full and to heal the cells in their body where they are not toxic, where now they start to think in toxic ways. I'm not saying you give someone a good meal that stomps out crime, But there is part of that you can totally correlate between toxicity in the body with toxicity in the brain, with toxicity in action, and that has a lot to do with the food deserts that many people suffer. Just saying.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. That's absolutely true. And also very important to that information is the impact that food additives have on children and learning. And so we have to be really careful about what we have in the cafeteria, what they are taking into their bodies and how it affects them. So many people just emphasize on sugar, making you hyper or sleepy or things like that. But what I would encourage people to do is before you eat foods or allow your children to, turn over the packaging. On the back, the ingredients of whatever you're about to eat or about to serve is listed. Look at those ingredients. If there's anything there that you can't pronounce or you don't feel familiar with,
don't eat it.
Absolutely. Find another alternative and begin to make that a pattern for yourself. Very often, food additives that people aren't noticing are causing obesity and other health problems, but also
mental health problems,
behavior problems, because they're chemicals.
That's right.
And, sometimes young people say, well, older people say about young people, well, I ate that product when I was a child.
It's not the same product.
Eat this and that. But now that we know better and we know that the things they're taking in contain chemicals that are affecting their health, affecting their mental health, changing their brain activity, we have to make adjustments.
I've been talking with friends and family for God, how many years? Over 2 decades, easily, if not 3, about food and the nutrients in the soil. I know I've been targeted by Monsanto's about the things I've said and the things I've done on different shows and the things I've written about in different articles. With what you're doing, Monsanto's is probably trying to put you out of business. How do you feel it? Because, thank you everyone for listening to Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. I'm talking to Miss Rebecca and Miss Tanya. We're talking about food, economic injustice. But here's the thing. Monsanto's has been buying into our FDA. They have been buying into our government process. They have been infiltrating with our genetic modified foods. I don't have to go into it because most people have been talking about it easily for the last 5 or 10 years, but genetically modified foods has actually changed our chemical components in our bodies inside our brain chemistry. Now, we do know how many times have corporate farms have put out the small farmer when they don't want to use a genetically modified seed. Now, when we're talking about Ms. Becca, let's get into what type of seed are you growing in the farm if it's not GMO, or are you using GMO?
No, in the farm, we use our organic vegetables and we grow those because remember, I just shared with you that we take seedlings to the public schools to help build school gardens and also in the community. So the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability and Environmental Sciences is extremely interested and focused on. He has a strong background in sustainability, but all of the members of our team are aware of the importance of nutrients to the body. UDC has a dynamic nutrition and dietetics program.
Okay.
We have nursing. We have programs, public health that are geared towards health. And in the College of Agriculture, as I said, we have a research farm. We have the East Capitol Urban Farm that is really a demonstration farm on how you grow food in small spaces. And since we live in an urban area, more than 80% of the US population has moved in and around urban areas. So we have to really be talking about how to grow food. And we also work in the schools to help younger children learn how to do container gardens, vertical gardens, just to should there be a food shortage, how we would grow food in small spaces.
Tanya.
Yes.
We're in a food shortage. There's no doubt about it. We already know about the price hike that's been coming, and I have access. I don't have access. I talk to people. I talk to people that have frost in the southern parts of the states. I talk to people who have worked on farms in South America where there was a frost that they could not get enough of the vegetables. This has happened over 2-3 years ago, and then so we're getting the repercussions of that frost. We're in a food shortage. Knowing what you know about food and the food shortage, what do you think you share with your community of how they can be sustainable? What are some of those tidbits?
Well, some of the tidbits that I would share with the community is as the children are building their gardens at their schools, we are also allowing them to create like maybe like a food market of some sort to assist the families within the schools who may not have enough food, as well as helping the particular community. And they're doing that by growing the garden in their beds and everything, and also having a greenhouse. That's what I see that could be a help, as well as the children learning how to be entrepreneurs, making various spices and things of that nature, just to show them how to, I guess, make a living, and also help the gaps, that exist.
Now, we know a lot of Black America, a majority of Black America, this is just statistics, do not have their own ownership of homes. So they're living in rental properties, they're living in apartments. What are some of the advices you think you could give them to say they too could be somewhat sustainable? Because yes, they cannot be completely. Or do you? What are some of those? Develop a community garden. See if there's a spot of land. See if there's a rundown building. We got to think about these urban scenarios. These rooftop gardens. I know people have done. What are some of those ideas you can help them to just even plant the herbs in their houses, the tomatoes, the different things? Yeah, they can't have a cow where they can milk their own milk, but there's certain things they can do.
So one of the things that UDC has is, yes, on top of Building 42, we have a demonstration rooftop garden, and grows beautifully. And we bring school children to visit, and not just school children, different people schedule. There's even a pollinator garden there. We have hydroponics and aquaponics systems around the city. One of the things that Ms. Hannah spoke about is greenhouses.
Yes.
So most of the schools in DC have greenhouses, and we're working to really put vegetables and grow food in those greenhouses. Ms. Nona Kumar works with us, and she is an expert in gardening, and she's been a volunteer with the 4-H program for many years. Ms. Kumar helps high school students, well, not just high school, she helps students in DCPS schools develop their school gardens. In fact, spring break is next week in DC, and the week after that, she will be helping with some of the area projects. The last school we visited was Roosevelt, and they'll be starting to start to grow vegetables in their greenhouse. And we'll be looking to the young people there to make a decision about if they're going to do some food distribution. They are talking about developing a product for their school from their garden. Just whatever the teens decide they want to do, we want to support their ideas. But we'll be working with several schools around developing their school gardens, growing food in their greenhouse. At the farm, at the UDC farm, the director there is Che Axum. He's born in the District of Columbia. He is amazingly knowledgeable about growing food. And when we bring school groups out to the farm, he really takes time to share with them all the different ways to grow food and really some of the sustainability practices that we use at UDC. But there at the farm, there's a huge aquaponics system.
Nice.
There's hydroponic systems both at the farm on UDC's campus and at the East Capitol Urban Farm setting in the city. So we try to share as much information as we can with the community around food security, ways of growing food in small spaces and in urban areas. Additionally, once a year in November, we do our gleaning project where community organizations come out and pick food from the farm.
Okay.
Generally what happens is in the morning, people come and they, pick food from the farm for community organizations. And then in the afternoon, they pick bags of food for themselves to take home. And also there, our Center for Nutrition, Diet, and Health, which ran by Dr. Lily Monroe Lord, her team and the chef that works with her show different ways of preparing the vegetables that are being collected from the farm.
Why?
So as I said, the causes team is really committed to engaging folks in healthier eating, giving demonstrations about how that works. With Dr. Harris, Dr. Michelle Harris is manager of the managed organization on campus. Those college students in nutrition and dietetics go into the community. They go into schools and classrooms and do 6 weeks of nutrition education and food demonstrations for school students.
How can people help you help the students? What could they offer? Is there donations involved? Is it just support the school of UDC? How can they help you help the kids?
Well, one of the main ways that they can help is to volunteer, like Miss Hannah. Miss Hannah didn't give herself enough credit. She's extremely resourceful.
No.
She and Miss Kumar as well. They know people all around the city, and anytime we're trying to do a project, they immediately know someone and make the connections. That is invaluable for us. We're always seeking help to support our young people. And it's highly important that young people know they're surrounded by caring adults that believe in them and want to support them. So the first thing that you can do is volunteer. And we really need volunteers.
And I'm telling you, Tanya, I know you don't want to jump up and wear your own cheerleading shirt and have your own, walk-in music and have people drive you around. But I'm telling you, out of the many things we do in our communities, whether it be in this state, Maryland, DC, or in the country, or any in the Black community, you have seen the people who do not do. Right? You have witnessed a lot of people who says, I don't have enough time. I don't want to be bothered with that. But yet when things erupt, when things come out, I can't believe that's happening. And I'm sure you put your hands on your hips like the superwoman you are and go like, well, if you just volunteer, none of this would be happening because you would be involved. So I don't want to hear zip up your damn mouth. And so I'm sure you just want to like do that and puff your chest up and like, I don't want to hear it. Because because
she never takes credit for all that she does. Honestly,
no, because that's the truth.
Someone else has to point out how valuable she is, and sometimes I still don't think she gets it. You were right earlier when you said there's not enough thank yous. I mean, you can really tell it comes from her heart. Yeah. She's excited about helping. She has wonderful ideas, and she's extremely resourceful. Yes, her children were in there in the past, but they're not now, and she's still here. She's still here helping so with Tanya, everything as much as she can.
So Tanya, I don't want you to name names, but if you want to name a name, you can if you want. But I want you to call out people that are not volunteer because it hurts them. I want you to call them out. What do you want to say to them?
Well, you guys are missing out on some wonderful opportunities to change the communities and uplift the youth. I guess that's what I would say.
You know, there are many school settings. Let's just specifically talk about schools.
Sure.
There are so many things happening in our schools that people can volunteer for to support the students. We're so concerned about them not graduating, not reading well, not doing math. And we put all the ownership on these teachers who are trying to do such an amazing job with what the resources they have, with such of the bureaucracy they have to go through. And yet you have no parents, no grandparents, no particular person. I don't care who you are. Nope. You don't have to have children, but you're not volunteering your talent to a school or to a child to help them perpetuate, to make our next generation better. And yet they still complain. That bothers me. And you have taken a step that says, I will, I am, and I'm doing. And I again, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. P. I really appreciate it. So.
In addition to volunteering, specifically what we need help with the Food Justice Youth Summit is for adults just to volunteer to help the teens get prepared. So what that means is you would meet with them, the teenagers online once or twice a week, depending on the strength of your team, and just really listen to them talk, listen to their presentation, ask them questions to see if, because the day they're workshop presenters, people are going to ask them questions about the presentation. So we want adults to ask them questions and see if they can answer. If not, they're trained to say, I'll have to get back to you on that. But before the date of the summit, we want them to have the information already.
And that's what I'm going to be helping with, right? That's what I'm going to be helping with, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. We also need volunteers that are experts in the field of food justice to conduct some of our workshops throughout the year. We do training sessions because we want to give information to young people. Sometimes the information helps them decide on their topic that they want to research. Sometimes the information engages them in thinking about different careers, because there are a whole lot of careers in STEM and in agriculture that young people don't know about and haven't entertained. So these are ways that we want them to be engaged and to learn more information. And you're correct. In addition to volunteering, we need financial support for programming, and people can make donations to the University of the District of Columbia's College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences, but it just says UDC causes, because most people don't say that whole title. But on the memo line, you'd have to say Attention Food Justice Summit.
Because if it's not on the memo line, does another part of the school take that money and put it in their pocket?
Absolutely, because otherwise they'll just think it's UDC is a big place, and that's what they'll think. But listen, within our land grant university, there are centers: the Center for Nutrition, Diet, and Health, the Center for Urban Agriculture and Gardening, the Center for Sustainable Living. There's an architecture institute, research institute. We have the Center for Gerontology that involves our seniors in the District of Columbia, Center for 4-H and Youth Development that involves our programs related to what we're talking about now, serving youth. So there are opportunities to have activities through all of those centers happen in the community.
Well, I'm excited to help with the project with the kids and to give some education between the food, the science, and the nutrients and how it affects the body, how it affects the organs, how it affects the brain, how it affects the neurochemistries of how we live and how we think and our emotional content. Most, the intake, we take in minerals and we use those minerals for what you call outsourcing. The outsourcing comes from outside of our body, but it first has to come into the internal self. And if we are not understanding the process, if we're not understanding the chemical imbalance that food can play if it's not the right food. We already know what alcohol does to different chemistry. We also should know what the food does to the chemistry of the body, what the food does to the chemistry of the heart, the chemistry of the brain, the chemistry of the liver, the tissues. Remember, we need these nutrients to live, not just survive, to live. So I thank you so much for doing all the work you do. And I hope we're going to have more shows of this, because it's not just about, when we talk about justice and we're talking about food deserts, and I've been to many deserts in this country and outside this country, and I know what a food shortage looks like. I know what a war has caused over food. Trust me, I've been in Somalia, I've been in Sudan, I've been into different cultures where people have been slaughtered, villages and thousands of people have been slaughtered because of the food they have already. So we are fighting over a resource, but our resource, and like Tanya has not said, and she's not giving our resources, is our passion and our heart to give, to serve others. We're built here for that. And if you're not serving others, you're only serving one thing, and that is yourself.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to say, Tanya, before we take off? And I want to say again, thank you in public. You can play this over when you play this on your podcast channel, and all you people, you play for your friends. Say, you need to say more what the Dr. P told me. Thank you, better thank me.
Yes, Dr. P.
I want to thank you so much, Dr. P, for this opportunity. Myself and Rebecca definitely appreciate this. Thank you for highlighting our Food Justice Youth event, which will be held on April the 28th, 2022.
At 9
a.m. Yes, to 2 p.m. At the Student Center at the university. So thanks again, Paul. I really, really appreciate this.
You're a blessing. And Miss Rebecca, before we take off.
Well, again, I would like to reiterate what you just said, and thank you so much. This opportunity to share with so many people means the world to us. And the knowledge that you already bring to the conversation is really important for listeners to hear and to know about. When we work collaboratively like this, we can really, really make an impact in our community. And it just means the world to me. So I thank you so much. I want to publicly, again, thank Ms. Tanya Hanna. I want to thank Ms. Kuma. I want to thank all the volunteers that work with youth in our program across the city. But I couldn't thank you enough just for this opportunity.
So now getting to you've been there 20 years. Are you staying?
Well, I'm staying for the moment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, the truth is, this is my passion.
Yeah.
The young people that I encounter in DC are just so amazing, so creative, so full of life. And it just encourages me to be involved and engage with them. I'm so proud of our young people and all the things that they can do and come up with, and even particularly how they can stand up in injustice, in periods of injustice, and really make a change. And I just really want to highlight for them the impact that they can really have in their community. The youth really carry our future. And so we want to give them all the tools, all the information that they need to make a better future. And we want them to know that we support them, we love them, we got their backs, we're here for them. From the University of the District of Columbia, we want to serve the District of Columbia community through our land grant programs, through our academic programs, and through our research. So I'm happy to be here, and I thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm gonna touch on things that that you're not allowed to say that I'm going to say. Not that you agree with it, disagree with it, you and Tanya, but I'm going to tell you this, people who are listening to this podcast and this live show, who will listen to it later. And I meant what I said. If you're not helping, you're causing the death of others. And this is what I mean by that. We all need a helping hand sometime, some way in our lives. And it only takes a few things. We're not talking about a lot of things. It takes a few things to help someone be sustainable. And that's maybe a kind word. That's maybe compassion, and that's maybe just some hard work you can do with your hands. And if you don't provide that because you're saying my time, it's the time, and I don't have enough time, then you can also say that you are causing the life span of another to be diminished, because we as a community need the community to help each other. And I'm very passionate about that. So you may make the choice of not to help others. You may make the choice to not to take first aid, CPR to help someone save a life. You may make that choice, but you're also making the choice of harming and killing another person. And that is the reality of the truth. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. This is Bridges Live. We're talking to Ms. Rebecca and Ms. Tanya. We're talking about food, economic injustice. Join us in another time. We're going to have them back on. If you have any questions, inbox me and I'll reach out to them and I'll send you the information. But please learn how to serve others so we can build a better community. Thank you, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everyone. God bless.